I'm an idiot. All right. Welcome to On My Block Packers Preview. I just want you guys to know this show is so good we're doing it twice. Not because of any tech mishaps or anything. We're just really enjoying it. I'm your host, Mike Wall. I'm on Green Packers all-time leading rusher. AG, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, man. Doing really good. Ready to go do this twice. Let's do
it twice. Listen, two thumbs and this guy's fault, all right? Listen, let's start with betonline8.ag.
Yep, our sponsor right there.
Basketball is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, esports, even golf. So head to betonline.ag. betonline.ag, not .com, .ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use your promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. AG, the Vikings can eliminate the Packers with the win. Now, we talked about this. As a player, do you care if you're the Minnesota Vikings locker room? What is your motivation for this game? You're going to probably lock down the 2 seed. Right. Because of the new way Roger Goodell decided to do the NFL, we don't have a bye week for the 2nd seed, right? Because we had to get another game in because we got to make more money, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So the Vikings are not going to get the bye week. They're going to get home field throughout until the NFC Championship game if the Eagles go. What is the motivation right now in the locker room?
Oh, motivation is we got a divisional rivalry. Let's go kick them in the chest and while we go to the playoffs, in their season, and that's it. Because with a rivalry matchup, these are the games that we know count double. It counts double because we're going to hear around town if we lose to them. So we don't want to hear that. And then 2, it helps get to the playoff a lot easier. So they're already in the playoffs. They already wrapped up the division. But now it's just a pride thing. From a player that's been there a long time, I say for players that have been on that Minnesota roster, they should know this. 5-6 years plus. No, we're going to Lambeau. We're gonna not turn off the lights. We're gonna put them to bed, send them home for the preseason, basically, or for the postseason, and they're gonna be watching us from home. So that's the mindset for any Minnesota player or coach going into Lambeau Field this Sunday.
This is the first time in a long time that the Minnesota Vikings could single-handedly eliminate the Packers from playoff contention. I can't remember the last time that was the case. So why then do you think the Packers are 3.5-point favorites in this game?
Because they're on a winning streak right now. It's real easy.
I mean, is that what you think? Well, so the Vikings are doing a lot of winning as well, right?
Yeah, they're winning, but the first, other than the Colts game where they were down 33 first half and they scored 36 running back. So that gets them on a roll. So Vegas somehow is looking at the many of games that where Kirk Cousins and the offense wasn't putting up points or their defense wasn't stopping teams and they didn't look like a contender, even though their records showed, but they show up against a team.
A lot of gaps in their play.
Exactly. They have, where the defense looks phenomenal, then the next game or next series, then it's like they can't stop nobody's offense. So I think that's where Vegas puts that line at. And with the Packers being hot and knowing that Aaron Rodgers, and then obviously Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon offensively are putting it together now. So that's where the line goes favor to Green Bay and it being in Lambeau.
I've seen the movie Casino a couple times, so I know how the sports bettors think. I watched a couple of A&E channels as well. So I have to imagine that if they're 3.5-point favorites, we can talk about the inconsistencies, but the Packers are playing they're playing the Bears, the Dolphins, Tua gets concussed. Okay.
Yeah.
However, the coaches are the only ones that might be overthinking this. I'm talking about the Minnesota Vikings coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do we need to save guys? Are we worried about their health? Is it more consistent to be on a roll, or is it more consistent to make sure that Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt? Should we play our backup quarterback? There's got to be something in there that makes them take pause. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense that a 10-3, 10-4 team, or whatever they are, 11-4 team right now, 12-3 team, is playing against a team fighting for their playoff lives, and they're underdogs. But they were underdogs against the Lions, and the Vegas guys were right. I mean, I guess it's got to be partly the inconsistencies, but have you ever been in a situation where a coach tries to outsmart himself and say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and not play our starters the last 2 weeks of the season. We're going to take our foot off the gas. We're going to focus on the playoffs?
100%. And we lived it. 2003 season. We played against the Denver Broncos. What they do, they set there's 10 players, I think 10 on offense, 10 on defense, whatever that number equaled out to on the bench.
Trevor Price played that game. He broke my damn hand. So let's be
I
think he was out at halftime though.
Oh yeah, but we did our job. We won the game.
Yep.
We regardless of what Minnesota did, they lost in Phoenix. Where Poole caught the touchdown, but we did our job. We played our game. But Denver lost the next week. They lose in the first round of the divisional playoffs for the AFC. So that right there, and I know Bill Belichick. He's a constant coach that says, you know what, you're playing. I don't care what we did. Okay, yeah, we got the division. We're up by 4 games. We're number 1 seed, but you know what? Let's continue to stay on a roll here because you don't want to lose that stride length of being in rhythm, offensive line with the receivers or with the quarterback with the receivers, running backs with the line. You don't want to lose that defense with the linebackers to the linemen and back end as well. You don't want to lose that rhythm. Keep that rhythm going. Y'all playing. Let's go play our best game out here and then, shut this down for their season so they could be watching us on the TV come January and February.
Yeah, they haven't looked dominant the last couple of weeks. Certainly, they had the big comeback, the historic comeback versus the Colts, and they played the Giants last weekend. So I think for any other, just listen, as a player, you and I talk about this all the time. We want to play. The reason that we're out there, the reason that we put ourselves through is because we want to play in the games. Like the payoff is the game. I sit through meetings so I can go play in the game, right? 100%. I lift weights so I can go play well in the game. That's the reason we're doing it. So if you're going to ask me to do all the other stuff, you're not going to let me play, man. We got some real issues, right? We got some real issues to get. And as a response, I'm an offensive lineman. There's a responsibility that I feel to you, to our quarterback. Like if you get hurt, or if our quarterback gets hurt because I'm not in the game and my backup does a bad job, I take that very, very personally. We take a lot of pride in our jobs, right? So you gotta think of this from the player's standpoint, which I think they're just going to come out and play their best. And then with the coaches, as long as the coaches aren't talking about it, because there are veterans. There's young guys who don't know how to handle themselves. There's veterans who don't want to play because they got their money and they're just trying to hold on, right? And so as soon as you start that narrative, if it starts early, it ain't ever going away. So I hope they started it Monday, Tuesday. We're talking about in the locker room. Maybe we're not going to play. Not taking it seriously. I hope so because it'll give us a better chance to win. But I doubt it. I think the Vikings are going to come out here and play as well as they can. The other side of this is we need the Commanders to lose a game. Yep. So the Commanders are playing the Browns, and I think they play the Dallas Cowboys to finish this out. So you figure, like, all right, Browns aren't playing well right now, but they have a good team. Carson Wentz is now starting for the Commanders. They took Heineke, which I know their stats are similar, but it just feels like Heineke's the winner. Carson Wentz is the guy that they don't really want. They're starting him, so I feel good. If I'm a Packers fan, like I'm rooting for the Browns, I feel good that the Commanders are starting Wentz and not Heineke, quite frankly. But then I find out that Myles Garrett has not reported an illness correctly, and that he's done something to piss off the powers that be in Cleveland. Right. And the guy that's up for Defensive Player of the Year this season might not play, or is expected not to play in this game. So now the game goes from, I think the Browns are probably favored, to a coin flip. Like I've never even heard of a guy playing at that level. Like there's never been problems. I know he had the car accident, but like what could possibly be going on there because of a reported illness that they're not going to play their best player?
That's interesting. I'm definitely going to look into that deeper because having him not on the field, obviously he's a presence. He's doing what the Preston Smith is doing, run game and pass game problems for offensive linemen and offensive units as well. So not to have him on the football field is going to be a big present missing right there. That's not good.
I like watching that. Yeah, I like watching that D line, and obviously they have some other guys in there. Clowney's one of them, but like he's the straw that stirs the drink, man. He's their Aaron Donald. He's their TJ Watt. If you don't have him on the field, it is. I mean, it's a night and day different defense without that guy. He has that kind of impact. So let's talk about Elgton Jenkins before we move on to the Vikings stuff. So last week they pay Elgton Jenkins. He's now the second highest paid guard in the year in the league. I think he's making maybe upwards of $74 million if everything works out. Congratulations to him, well deserved. It was one of those things that they had to talk about as far as, are we going to pay Bakhtiari? Are we going to pay Jenkins? Are we going to pay both? What are we going to do? Locking down that key piece of the future. Does this mean that we're thinking long-term, we're not thinking short-term? Again, I think that decision really comes down to whether or not they sign Bakhtiari back, because I think that has a bigger impact on Aaron Rodgers than Jenkins does. Jenkins is more of a long-term projection. As we know, all these second highest paid guard in league contracts look a lot better 2 years from now than they do right now. Yeah. He ended up having one of the better games of his season. It kind of got us thinking, AG, like, what are some other guys on this team? And let's just call it instead of saying 5 years and below, let's just who would you re-up right now? Who are guys that you just feel like we need to make sure these guys are in the Green Bay Packers locker room for the next 3-4 years?
I'll say starting with on defense, he's shown a good year, but like I said, contract is kind of in the mid range already. But Preston Smith, he'll be one guy that I go to because obviously he's developed into a guy that now not only does he put his hand in the ground and rush the quarterback very well since day one when they had Mr. Smith on the other side, but then he's also now developed into a run stopper where he knows how to do the technique, keeping the outside arm open and just bringing penetration, things of that nature. Even another guy on defense, Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul.
There he is again. There he is, baby.
Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas.
They paid him last year, didn't they?
I thought but it was a short deal. It was a 3-year deal.
Oh,
so he's in year 2 of that deal right now.
Do you think he's done? So that's it. Okay, so I'll push back on that one a little bit. So he's kind of the guy that everybody picks on, right? Because he's not Jared Alexander, and they do have Eric Stokes as the first-round draft pick who's been hurt.
That's true.
If Stokes comes back, you have to assume that he's going to be the starter, right? So Rasul probably moves into the slot again. Yeah. Do you pay that? Look, you and I have talked about
I forgot about Stokes. I forgot about Stokes.
I was going to say Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas got paid last year. They had those great years last year. They got paid. Yeah. I don't know the terms of his contract, but I would say it's fair to say that their production level is not as high as it was last season. That's just based on stats alone, right? But when guys catch passes on this team, they catch it on him because they're not throwing to Jerry Alexander that much. Preston, I'm totally with you. We talked about it earlier. Z and Preston came in. They both had these great seasons. They both kind of dipped year 2. Z gets hurt last year. Rashawn Gary emerges, but Preston's playing at a super high level. I think he was one of the top-rated run defenders last season. Yep. And now he's kind of putting everything together. Rashawn Gary's hurt, so the spotlight shines on him a little bit more. He's one of my favorite players on the team, defensive MVP in my opinion. I completely agree with you. I don't know what the numbers are, but he's in year 4, so it looks like they need to lock him up again. As we go through this, this roster full of young guys, you think of Jenkins, John Runyon Jr. I don't know if I'm locking him up right now for anything long term. Certainly, I think he's still got some more to prove. I think he's a solid but not spectacular guard.
Correct.
I think if he develops some power, a little more power and explosiveness in his hips and is able to road grade a little bit more, he becomes that much better of a player. And then maybe we're talking about a big contract because I think he has that potential. But you look across the guys. Lazard was hurt this year; didn't have the numbers. AJ Dillon, AJ Dillon's the guy that you got to start thinking about. What are we going to do in the backfield because he's coming up on year 4?
Yeah, year 4 coming up next year.
Yeah, so maybe have another year. But if you want to get him, if you want to get him early and just say, hey, listen, you're going to be our workhorse for the next 5 years until you turn 30. Let's pay him right now. Let's make him happy now because that contract will look a lot better in 2 years than it does right now.
Yeah, he has a pretty much zero cap number compared to Aaron Jones in terms of being a clear-cut starter. Now, if they want to stick with the duel, then that's where some adjustments because right now, next year, Aaron's contract goes from $8 million to $11 million. So that's going to be, budget conversations come off season here. Once everything.
Do you re-up Aaron Jones? Do you re-up Aaron Jones and extend his contract so you get a lower cap number?
Whew. I would say for what he's done with the offense, he's still being productive. I said there's a potential chance there because of just look at his age. Let me see where his age is at right now. I had him up here. Here we go. So he's sitting at 28. Little back, doesn't get as physical. He doesn't. He tries. I say it does his best to avoid contact. As long as that continues to happen, he's able to be sneaky, getting out the backfield in terms of the pass routes, and you keep that stuff going. Then that'll be something that it will be. I say a good lifesaver to have that locked down because once he hit the market, obviously for him he'll be gone. But then you're putting all your cards on AJ Dillon, who is one, as we know, he's a big guy, but he's not as dynamic. He is dynamic for his size, but Aaron Jones just does a little.
Aaron
bit
Jones,
more. He does a little bit more than AJ, but they're still both good backs and could be if they were on 2 different teams, they're both the starter on each team.
Aaron Jones has been arguably the best offensive player for Green Bay, and it sometimes they use him, sometimes they don't. But I think every game you come out going like, God, can we just get him the ball more because he's done so well for him. So
it lights it up when he gets the ball.
Yeah, he's such a good player, and I know that you start getting near that 30, but it's like he's a smaller guy. He takes really good care of himself. He's a physical runner when he needs to be. If you can get 2 or 3 more seasons out of him, then I think you squeeze as much life as you can out of him. Personally,
100%.
I'd lock him up and get him for 3 more years. Defensively, I'm not sure. Listen. One thing that's just nuts about this season, and it's a 17-week deal, and we had a weird bye week and all this stuff. But you think about 4 weeks ago, this team is sitting at no chance in hell of doing anything.
They don't like
we got all these experts on TV talking about, oh, Jordan Love should play. We should see who we should get for. Look where we are now, everyone. All the smart guys out there. We need to make sure we know what we got. They know what they've got. We said it. You and I said it from day one. We know exactly what we got. We got the 4-time MVP. You got a backup who's not as good as he is. We want to win games around here. They're now in a position to win 2 more, go to the playoffs.
Yep.
Life is good, and we're favored. We're actually favored in this game by 3.5.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know the status of Christian Watson right now, but AG, does this just come down to if Christian Watson's healthy, you got to think we're favored, and if he's not, you got to think we're in trouble?
I would say if he's not, I say the way the game ended last week with him not on the field, so that's where Vegas is like, well, they were able to do it without him, even though he started the game and only had a couple of receptions before the hip injury. Then they're okay without him. So I think without him, they're in a safe spot. They still have Romeo Dobbs, they have DeGuaria, they have Tunyon, and they have Randall Cobb that's showing up, popping on the screen every now and then, getting a couple of first downs or even a touchdown here and there. And then Aaron Jones, and AJ Dillon are doing their thing. They're picking up the yardage every way they can, pass or run.
What Christian Watson's speed brings to that offense can't be undenied, though. Or denied. I think he had 5 or 6 catches last year for a handful of yards, but he stretches the defense. This defense that we're going up against is 32nd in the league, giving up passing yards. They're just ripe for getting beat deep and getting beat on deep outs and deep cuts. So if he plays, I think it makes a really tangible. It makes a tangible impact on the game.
Yep.
The other thing that makes an impact on the game, though, is special teams. We were like in the cellar.
Yes.
Of special teams, and we've gotten up to 22nd. I don't know how they do all these metrics. I don't really care. But what I do know is this: when Keyshawn Nixon decided to let him return the ball, all of a sudden the Rich Bisaccia hire was a really good deal.
Yeah, it looks good. Yes.
Right. All of a sudden everything's like, have you ever been? I've never been around. I was just trying to think because I was with Desmond Howard. I was with Roel Preston. I mean, these are all Pro Bowl guys, right? I had Steve Smith in Carolina. I don't think I've ever been around a guy who's had a big of impact on the team as Keyshawn Nixon has had over the last couple of weeks in his return game.
Well, I don't know if I played with anybody too. I say the closest we had together, we had Allen Rossum for a few years.
And he was great. But
and he goes to Atlanta. He goes to Atlanta, becomes a Pro Bowl return guy. But no, in terms of a teammate, no, I don't think I've played with anybody. The only guy who was close to it, and he basically turned it on and off when he wanted to, because he'll look at his contract. He say, "Oh, I'm not playing." Would be Joey Galloway in Seattle. He saw his contract. He said, "Oh, you want me to catch punts today?" No, I'm out. I can't. My eyes. I got something in my eye. I'm gonna just sit on the
Steve Smith. They didn't want Steve Smith to return punts because he was so valuable as a receiver at that point.
Yeah, and that's what Joey was talking about. Yeah,
but every once in a while, if we were playing in a big game, like you'd look out there and Steve would be like, and I forgot who the other guy was, and like he was a pro and he was a good guy and everything. And Steve would be like, "Nah, man, I'm taking this one."
Yeah.
And when Steve took it, it was like box office, man. Get your popcorn out because like something was happening. And like
I could say that
was
for
like
Joey
a Barry
too.
Sanders. He could go 90. Or he could make like a 1-yard gain look like amazing because he's stiff arm 27 guy. I mean, dude, he guy was unbelievable. But I've literally never seen a return guy have an impact like this kid's had on the offense.
I'll say a guy that wasn't our teammate, but a blast from the past that we had to face as a team, but we didn't face individually, is the human joystick Dante Hall from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, or Devin Hester, I guess.
Devin Hester was another one. At the same time, those guys we shouldn't have kicked him the damn ball. That's what Dennis Green said. Dennis Green said, "Yeah, you shouldn't have." He's that guy.
Devin Hester is probably the closest because even when they had Dante Hall, that was Trent Green's offense. They had five Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. They had Priest Holmes. They had Tony Gonzalez. They had the offense. When the Bears were playing, they had
nothing. He was
nobody.
He was the special teams.
It was Brian. It was Lance Briggs, Brian Urlacher in that defense. And Devin Hester. I literally cannot name one player on that offense. I know I think they had Brandon Marshall.
They had Anthony Thomas, the running back from Michigan.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It was Devin Hester. That's my point. Remember the first play of the Super Bowl when he turned down in Miami? Oh,
Yep.
goodness.
Yeah, he
All right,
took
let's
it to
get
the
through these
house.
Vikings. Let's talk some Vikings football. So let's start with offense today, man. They have weapons absolutely everywhere. Speed kills. They have it.
They a problem.
Dalvin Cook. They brought in Hawkinson, and they got this dude Justin Jefferson, man. I mean, good
Manimal.
Lord. He's got 1,756 yards receiving right now. He's got 2 games left. Dude's got 8 touchdowns. He's been targeted 123 times. I mean, he's going to have 2,000 yards. He's going to have 2,000 yards.
Easy. I mean, it could be the point to where as a rival game, he gets that 2,000 in this game. You know, like the coach could.
Randy Moss does. Yeah,
exactly. Right. I mean, that's what TJ did last week. He mossed 2 DBs to get a tutty for himself. But yeah, with their pass game, and we saw in game 1 where Zaire and the miscommunication between him and Amos of bouncing the play, which they had a problem with that last week with Jalen Waddle going across. That's still a problem. So that's just one thing that pops in my head. Like, wait a minute, this was a team that week 1 we saw Christian Watson drop a pass. We saw the whole team mentally just break down. But then before that, or after that, or before that, we saw Justin Jefferson run a crossing route untouched, and again a touchdown at the end. Same result as last week with Jalen Waddle. So same teams, but is the mindset, is the play calling for O'Donnell's going to be there, the coach for Minnesota? Is he going to look at that film and say, "Oh, look, we could still do this"?
He's got to be looking at that tape from last week. He's got to be looking at that tape from last week, going, "Oh, they're still giving up. They're still giving up the crossing with bad communication." Or they're still asking Amos to drive 20 yards down on the fastest guy in the field. Oh, okay. Well, I think we'll do that some more. You know, it's just like that's what, you know. If you want to go, you know, go back and look. What's kind of still depressing is we literally saw almost the exact same play happen in week 1, happen in week 16 again. Now you're going to a team who's 7th in the league in scoring at 25 points a game. They get 350 yards a game through the air and on the ground. They don't even run the ball that much with Dalvin Cook. They only run the ball like 35% of the time.
Right, and he has 1,000. Yeah, Justin Jefferson with 1,000. Where's Thielen at?
Thielen's got 692. KJ's going to have a good year.
He's at almost a 500. So it's like you got guys, and TJ Hockenson now, which still is a mystery how he's a Viking, but Detroit wanted to let him go to a divisional rival. There you go. You're welcome. And you have all those weapons and a run game. So the only problem here is Kirk Cousins, is making sure his mental, does he see ghosts? Is he in that pocket getting harassed? Because if he's not, he's a go-getter. He's going to be the guy that's going to pretty much beat you. But if you don't put that pressure, or if you do put that pressure on, then he might be somebody he might want to throw a jersey on. He's wearing Packer colors all weekend.
This is so the Vikings don't run the ball that much, but they have Dalvin Cook's a Pro Bowl level running back. He's got crazy. They have crazy speed when you watch this. When you watch sideline copy, you're like, good Lord, all these guys that look like you. I mean, it's ridiculous. So one thing that's amazing to me is like they're running 12 personnel here, and you're playing 6 in the box, 2 safety looks because everyone is just petrified of the speed they have on the outside. And so, this is like what we're showing right here is literally the easiest run look you could possibly get, given the fact you're in 12 personnel, because you're assuming your tight ends can at least put a body on a body. And so you get these run game. I mean,
it's wide open. That's 20 yards right there, right up the middle.
Yeah,
that's 20 yards right up the middle between the tackles.
This is just the old double play. This play's been around since the dawn of time. You got 2 tight ends blocking 1 defensive end out to a cornerback. Then you got double teams from your left guard, left tackle to the linebacker, center and right guard double team. Backside tackle can just shift block and go to block whoever he wants. There's just nobody there. No, they don't have anybody to account for.
And then the other defenders, the linebacker, safeties, they get muddled up in the two double teams going downfield. It's really hard to get a hand on Dalvin Cook, and he's a physical runner, small back but physical runner. So that's going to be cake for them.
A lot of times, so what AG's saying is, I'll back it up, is like in this situation, AG, maybe this safety on the top of the screen is going to fill late, but that is not it. Like, so what they're saying is, hey, we want you to cheat this. Like, you'll be in a defensive meeting and a coach will literally be like, hey, Amon, I want you to cheat this a little bit. Like, we're playing 2, but you got to be ready to trigger early. It's like, well,
you got to come down in the box right away.
Yeah, it's like, I'm either there or I'm not. I can't trigger early. and you see that the way that they've left space here on the left side of the screen, they're not triggering early, man. They're hoping for the best, because 6 in the box versus 12 personnel with 8 guys blocking it's just not going to work.
No.
Now you see here, they pass this off. So Justin Jefferson, like, put him in motion, see bad things happen for the other team. You see, I circled 32. So he's trying to pass this off to the safety who's manned over the slot. They're going to bounce this in. Everybody gets confused. This guy runs late. 32 gets blocked outside. They just do a quick flip. They got Darrisaw out on the corner.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's like, dude, you just can't believe that this stuff is allowed to happen. But that's what speed does for you. You look at this. You look at it from this angle.
That's a problem. Yeah, that's the nice play design. Beautiful play design.
It's great. You see teams, and you know the other funny thing about this year is, like, and this happens every year, but it's such a copycat league, right? So you see the flip, you see the tackle guard pull, you see all the cross action. Like, it's like you can almost turn on any tape now and see, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 the kick play, 6, 7, 8 plays that are exactly the same across the entire National Football League. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, and the only difference is the ingredients, what players you have to run those plays to make them successful or not successful, basically.
So we're looking at, we got a tight end attached on the left side of the offensive line, right side of the screen. And the reason I highlighted these guys is because for Amon and I, as offensive line and running back, these are really the only guys we care about. So we got basically those 5 defenders from 58 over have to be blocked by our 5 offensive linemen. And then that tight end can sift that backside and go up to 26 on the backside as the backside safety, if you like. Yeah. But really, it's like, can we take care of these guys? Can our right tackle single block and just get a draw? We get a double team with our right guard and center. We get a double team with our left guard and left tackle, both up to small linebackers. This is advantageous situations that happen when you play against a team with all that speed on the outside.
Yeah, because they have linemen that can take up space and know how to move their feet and get in the right position. Then you have the speed to hit the edge right away. So then as long as they do their job as an offensive line, they get to their spot, then Devin Cook is gone either way, inside or outside, which he is, right?
It's just go time, man. And the guy runs hard. And again, it's hard. I'm only kind of showing these because I thought it was interesting. They only run the ball 35% of the time. They got a guy like Dalvin Cook, but it's like they want to pass that ball because they just have so many, and they get them in the screen game and everything, but they just have so many weapons.
And I think that's Kevin O'Donnell doing a good job of not being romanticized with the pass game. Mm-hmm. You know, where you got Justin Jefferson, you got Adam Thielen, you got a KJ Osborne. Now you got TJ Hockenson. He can fall in love with them and just forget about. If you forget about that run, though, that'll be his downfall. And that's why he's done that job of having a 35% of run game for Devin Cook, and even CJ Ham. He got a touchdown last week in the game. So
yeah,
it's very good as a coach to do that, because sometimes it's real easy to get sucked into the pass game.
So we see it here. They're playing just 3 deep, and you get to this point against 2 slot guys, 2 fast players. You see that they've decided to go, man, we got 2 chests inside, though. So what I'm saying by that is both defensive backs are playing. One's playing outside leverage in the slot, and he's going to drive on that dig route on the inside. Mm-hmm. So the guy in the rectangle is going to run across the field. He's going to get chased. But you also have the defensive back who's playing against Justin Jefferson, by the way. Yeah. He's playing on the top of the numbers at the 30-yard line. His chest is pointing away from Justin Jefferson. He's opening up, but he's also opening up with inside leverage. He's inside of Justin Jefferson, meaning that the outside routes are all you can eat because they're trying to funnel that speed, but he made a mistake because it's happening so fast. This is what happens with speed. It happens so fast. All of a sudden, I mean, look, he catches this ball, man. The guy's not within 7 yards of him.
It's nobody there. He can make a move, get what he can, get out of bounds, stop the clock if he need to, which he did. So
we go shotgun here, and this is one thing that I think Kirk Cousins does really well. First of all, he stands in the pocket and he's like a statue up there, but he also doesn't waver. Like he's not like a Matt Ryan where he's always looking at the rush. He's just going to throw the ball. If he gets hit, he gets hit. Mm-hmm. He does a really good job in routes like this where they're just going to pick on one player. So they overloaded this side, and they're just going to say, hey, we're going to basically run the option off here. If you stick on, if you take the stick route, we're just going to throw the ball right behind you, give it to our fast guy, and get space. If he keeps dropping right here, if this player just keeps dropping, then they're just going to hit the stick route. Simple stuff. Kirk Cousins can do this all day.
Yep. And as long as that pocket is clean like it is right there, you got backside the back. Actually, it was an empty formation, I think. Oh no, it was one back in there.
One back. Yep.
So a clean pocket right there. Yeah, Kirk Cousins will eat you alive.
You put all these guys at line of scrimmage. There's a single safety deep, but you just look at, hey, we're going to run man coverage against Minnesota Vikings. You got Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, Dalvin. I mean, you're just going like, can you? I mean, you look at the inside slot guy here, and you go, hey man, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to put you up against the best receiver in the league, and you're just going to go man coverage. Sound good? Okay, hike. You know what I mean? It's like, what? I got to do what?
Oh, wait, hold on, Tom. Pump your brakes, coach.
Yeah, man. No, thank you. I mean, look at it. So,
oh my God,
this here,
he's beat already. He's beat from the first step.
For Packers fans, are like, we should have Jair Alexander follow this guy around all game. We need to play more press man. And, there really is no good answer when you play against elite speed with an accurate quarterback, because if you play off, now we see like what happened last week where Tyreek Hill gets a 10, a 15-yard start, and like you're not gonna there's no way you're gonna get to his top speed because he's just faster than you, so you got a problem. But if you stand up here and try to run with the guy, then you get in what's called, like, this is just a trail. This is trail technique. But the problem with trail technique, when you got everybody up, is that Justin Jefferson can go to the 40. He can go to the middle of the field. He can take the corner. There's nobody around. There's no safety. The safety's job is just, hey, man, nobody can beat you deep right now. So if you have an accurate quarterback and you're playing trail technique on the fastest guy on the field, like, there's no chance that you're going to win. They have to make a mistake.
Yeah, the DB is at the players. I'll say at the mercy of Justin Jefferson. He could go either way here, stop it, drop it, or keep it upfield.
And you see, it's like that guy has good coverage, but
but is
it's
not
going to be good enough.
It's speed and talent and the knowledge of him and his not route running knowledge. He knows how to set up every route, so it's going to be hard to do that, even if you got a Hall of Fame corner on him.
One thing the Vikings have been doing a really good job of. So when they go in the under center play actions, something we talk about all the time on this show, is a lot of teams are doing that to just suck up those linebackers and get that middle of the field stuff open. But these guys do two things like really, really well. When they go under center play action, it's really for timing to get those deeper routes, like we just saw, the 20, 25-foot in cuts, out cuts. We can go deep post, deep corner. But they also do a good job of, now this is where they get Hawkinson. So now you get all these guys in under center play action. They go man in motion. They bring everybody down. Now all their linebackers just turn and bail, right? This is Jalen Smith right here for the Giants. He turns and bails. Yep. Hawkinson gets the screen, and all of a sudden you just got 20 yards of free rush, free running lanes. They just are doing a phenomenal job of like bringing in a new guy who's got a unique skill set at the tight end position and just finding ways to get him the ball.
And then when you're effective with the run and the pass, and like I said, I think I mentioned this last week, when you have a coordinator or offensive minded coach like Kevin O'Donnell, they know how to get you, into doing things that you don't want to do because they're running the ball so well. Your blockers are going to hit the gas fast, or you're hitting the short routes and the deep routes where you want to get pressure on the quarterback and you're not. So then you're just putting guys in cover. So when you start getting in that rhythm, then all of a sudden that underneath pass to a TJ Hawkinson for that screen is wide open because everybody's bailing out of there because they know they got Justin Jefferson and Thielen wide open for passes. So that's when you do a good job of play calling and play design as an offensive coordinator or offensive minded coach.
Feeding on their fear, right? Just feeding on their fear of the guys you have outside. You look at Hawkins on the inside here, the strips look. And you see they've done a good job. I'm talking about the Giants now, of stacking their DBs. They shouldn't be running into one another. But you can see inevitably, like if you're the outside guy here, and the two guys on the left press you at all, there's gonna be some traffic, and you have to get around that traffic. All of a sudden, you have a tight end that can actually outrun your safety
and jump,
and make a great play. Yeah,
outrun and jump.
Yeah, it's a good athlete making athlete plays. They're just putting them in positions to be successful. They're finding success. Now, the one thing that, one of the keys to the game, though, is like you have to get Kirk Cousins. You got to get to this guy. Their pass protection is good, not great. Guys that are getting really high graded are getting beat. They've gotten beat regularly. And you see here, so Darius How's a good player. He's a good young guy, gets beat. I mean, Cousins doesn't even know he's there. I mean, this just jumps off the page, AG. This guy just keeps getting hit. Here's another one from 91 on the Colts. He's got a great jump chop. Pop, pop. But like Cousins doesn't even know he's there. It's just It's just this is Yannick, man, and
Is it if it's just confidence in his teammates of blocking? Like, oh man, they got me. Or is it just his not? It's just. I think it's just not his awareness in the pocket, because you got to see that flash across your eyeballs, but keep your eyes upfield. But then step up in the pocket. Find your escape route to at least throw the ball. Give yourself a chance by creating another 2-step area, either forward, backwards, or side to side.
You look at this from Buckner, same game last week or 2 weeks ago versus the Colts. Left guard gets beat, arm over, and you see Kirk Cousins, man, eyes are glued downfield, man. He literally has no idea. He even turns that way, and Buckner's 6'7", and he still doesn't see him. Yeah, it's nuts until he gets hit. He doesn't even know he's going to get hit, and that's one of his strengths. That's also one of the reasons that you have to really apply pressure with bull rushes and pushing their guys into, instead of just swiping for the ball, the Packers play action pass drop back. When you win and you get an edge, you just got to keep driving until you put your guy in his lap. Otherwise, he just doesn't feel you. So he can make those passes and not bail out because he's not worried about getting hit because he doesn't even know he's about to get hit.
Awareness quite not on the radar there.
So you see their right tackle. This is their team captain. What's his name is Brian O'Neill. So I highlighted his feet, right? So because he does this bad crossover step here and bop, and you just get in this, you can just see body position wise, like you're already off balance. You're going to get pulled back into the quarterback. And this is how you get him. When I see this play, I just think, oh, this is something Preston Smith can do all day versus O'Neill, right? Get him into this position where he's gotten the confrontation too early. He's out of control. He's just going to get bowled back with press and all these bodies in front of him. That's the only way you're going to make this guy feel something. Otherwise, man, it's tough sledding.
When you see Kirk Cousins, when you make Kirk Cousins, I've seen this on tape, and not tape, but film, watching a game of him, when he starts making the funny faces, that's when you're getting to him. Because he's like, because he feels it at the last second. He's like, oh my God, I didn't pay attention. Yeah. I'm getting blasted. Dang it. That's when you done your job. You make him like those cringe faces. That's when you're getting right in his face because he's realizing it, as you saw on the tape, as we just saw on the tape. He is unaware when the pressure is right there to either step up, step back, left or right to get yourself out of the pocket. Get himself out of the pocket.
So he does a lot of cringeworthy stuff, anyways. Although I gotta say, I've been a big fan of like the dancing with the chains and stuff in the airplanes. Funny. But when he's cringing, that's a bad thing. So defensively, man, I think the thing that last time we played these guys first game of the season, I thought Z would have a good game, and he did. Danielle Hunter is a good player, and I think he's leading their team with 10.5 sacks. And so I think Danielle's got 10.5. He's got like 8 tackles for loss, or 12 tackles for loss. Z's got 10 sacks, 15 tackles for loss. Both those guys are playing elite level.
Right.
Okay. The other guy is Harrison Phillips killed us last time. And he's only got 1 sack, but he's got a couple tackles for loss, 6 tackles, nose tackles, a run stuffer, right? Number 97.
Yeah, big guy.
But they're elite on the edges, and we don't know. Is it Bakhtiari? Is it Royce Newman? Is it Yash? Is it Zach Tom? Who is playing tackle against these 2 elite level guys? That is a huge question mark in this game. They are 32nd in points given up, passing yards given up game to game. I think 402 yards per game is 31 in the league. But they're 281 yards per game in the air. So they are the worst passing defense in the National Football League. They're giving up 25 points a game, number 20, good for 28th in the league. So when you just look at the numbers, you go, okay, where are the opportunities? Clearly the opportunities are with a healthy Watson, Lazard, Cobb, our passing game. Hopefully we can get Tunyon involved. They've got really good linebackers in Hendricks and Jordan Hicks. But it comes down to, can the Green Bay Packers hold the pass rush off long enough to do damage in the passing game?
100%. I mean, doing that then helps Aaron get the ball downfield, helps the run get going. And so it is make sure you keep that offense balanced against this defense.
I think, for me, let me put this back up. Put our good-looking faces up there too. So, first things first, you really do have to contend with these guys, man. I mean, they're both special players. I'm going to say Danielle's name correct now for the rest of the year because of the way that he treated us last time.
Yeah.
But these guys can just win, man. I mean, you look at either side every time you line up. And Danielle Hunter's got some moves, like he's got some movement. He's like Melvin Ingram in that he does some stuff off rhythm. He does some stuff that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to other players, but he does a great job of, the whole thing in offensive line play is, can I get you off your rhythm? He does a great job, whether it's this bull rush press or just getting guys to drift, shot club rips. He's just got moves and moves and moves. And then we talked about it earlier, man. This guy killed us last time in the interior in the run game. And it's not about always making plays. It's about getting that penetration. Excuse me
That's
here.
It.
About getting penetration. And, like, you're the reason, right? Like, you're the reason the play got made. You might not make the play, but when you're in the backfield 2 yards deep and your running back's trying to run across your face, life is good.
Yeah, that penetration does so much. I mean, it slows the running back up if you got a speedy guy, and we got a speedy guy in terms of Devin Cook, coming down the field. Or with AJ, let's say for them, they got AJ Jones or Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon coming downfield. But on the flip side, too, on our side, we have Delvin Cook. So you slow his feet up, that's going to be a benefit. And we're playing on grass. We're not on the turf indoors. So it's going to be a little different out there. So that helps out. That penetration is always a problem.
This play where they bring they have the running back offset, like in the red look, AG, and then they're running kind of the outside zone to the left, where it's like actually an outside play. We run this with AJ all the time, and I don't like I know it's gained yards, but I just don't ever see it actually working. It just intuitively doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, you put them 3 yards further away from the hole, and you're trying to. It's not a crack play. It's just it could just be a toss, but they don't want to toss the ball. This one's always tough for me because this stuff happens a lot when you start running linemen sideways. Like, that's penetration becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, and I say with a back like AJ Dillon, he's not a guy who's a quick starter. Like, I mean, as soon as the ball is snapped, he's not 0 to 60. So he takes a couple steps to get momentum going. So that puts him in a disadvantage. For Aaron Jones, it's a whole different situation. Run that play with Aaron Jones because he could hit the edge a lot faster than AJ. So cater to their abilities, their strengths in that. And so in terms of play calling, that's just something that Matt and the offense make sure they pay attention to that. And then flip side for Kevin O'Donnell, that's where he puts Devin Cook in the best situations that we saw on the big plays on an earlier field review.
I wanted to, we just to make sure we give some DB love. Like, Patrick Peterson's still out there doing his thing, right? So Patrick comes out of nowhere, flying Superman here, dude, and just makes a great play. But the reason they make this play really is not Andrew Thomas. This isn't his fault. But when you start walking up Z in the middle, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we got to worry about all these guys. There's a drop end out here that you can't see that's off screen. But you start focusing on all these middle guys, you see the drop. All of a sudden it's like, oh, they're bringing the cat corner. We don't see a lot of teams bringing cat corner blitz anymore, but they're willing to do it. They take some risks. That's one of the reasons they give up a lot of yards passing, but it's a feast famine thing, right? They're high in sack total as well.
Yeah, I don't know what was that count. Saquon should have stayed in and helped out on that. I mean, because that's your guy. It's big. I remember our rules was big on big, little on little. So that was a little guy coming in, Patrick Peterson. Saquon, you could eat him up for breakfast right there. Well, I don't know what the read or count was on that one. Interesting.
Did you always, when you had to scan, was it ever like you scanned 1, 2, never to the other side of the field, or did you always have to scan backside?
No, I always scan backside. I say from the time I got here, I learned lessons in Seattle how to.
Because it's not always that way, right?
No, it's not always that way because when you're learning, you don't know, so you're gonna go by the book or what your coach tell you. Hey, just scan. Here's your 1-2 scan, and then if they're not there, get out. But once I got, I learned my lesson. I got, I think I got Kitten hit a couple times, and I got Warren Moon hit a couple times. But learning, like, oh, that's not my guy. But let me just look back anyway, because you never know that offensive line might miss their block. It might be a little guy coming in, even though he's out of my count. Let me be experienced and knowledgeable. Okay, no, that's still color. The opposite color coming in our backfield. We don't want the opposite color in our backfield. So you got to be wary of that. And so that's where. When I got here, I knew that, so I was picking up things that I know you guys like. You're like, oh man, I like this dude. AG. He's a blocker back there. So
yeah, we like the tough guys, man. The tough guys who do the dirty work. And then they happen to be really, really good at their main job. We like that too.
Yep. Oh, I love getting my hands dirty. I loved it. All right, what we got here?
So a couple opportunities that we have. You see the cross action. So usually. Right? Because we talked about everyone's copycat league. When you have that hipped off tight end or fullback off that tackle, that usually means they're doing the cross action look. They're going to go across the ball, and they're going to cut down. I think in this case, I think that's Darius Smith, or that might be Danielle Hunter. Excuse me.
Oh, it's Danielle. It's Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle Hunter. So what happens, because we have athletic linebackers, we have an aggressive front four that want to penetrate. When they run plays like this, we come down. You see that Danielle's all the way down on the Vikings horn now, and they just do the end around. And now you just have an easy. We just actually saw this on the other side of the ball, right? With the end around. We saw this.
Yeah, with Delvin Cook. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw this, and you saw the end arounds last week against the Dolphins. Same stuff, right? Yeah. Those opportunities are all here because of how aggressive they play. The key is, can you get them to move, and can you keep them from penetrating so they don't throw off the rhythm of the quarterback or whoever's receiving the ball in that moment?
Yeah, and that's where the run game comes in effect, because when you get the run game going, then you're going to have those players where you want them to be to hit plays like this later on in the game. Because this is the first half. This was the first half. I'm assuming by that big play pickup against the Colts.
That was the first play of the game.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's early in the game where they got up 33 later on in this first half, but then second half Minnesota made the adjustments to get the victory. But having this early in the game then sets them up for bigger plays down the game for the Packers.
Great point that you made too, right? Because the first play of the game last time was the drop by Christian Watson. But the point is, it was available. You know what I mean? Because they're being so aggressive. And we'll see. Yep. We'll see they lose on double moves as well. So now you got Z over here on the left side of the screen, and again we see that we got a hipped off fullback or tight end off the tackle. So what do? They're going to crash down. This is what they've been taught to do. This is the eye candy. Yep. Again, this is a different play. Just run again. It's not hard because you got those guys crashing, because that is what they've been schooled to do over and over. And you just have to make sure that you're making that the eye discipline is there with that fullback coming at a hard enough angle.
Yep.
This guy's going to lower for the block, and all you got to do is run around him. We do that a lot on key passes, but the end around game works just as well.
Yeah. So offensive-minded coaches have come up with another, option for that run game, play action look. It looks like a fullback's about to come down and cut block you. You know, that was the pass plays that we used to do. We had 8-6 come down and just take that end's legs out. But now you don't even have to take fake that you're going to take his legs out. Or look like you're coming to you hard. Give him a little soft shoulder, a dead shoulder, and then head to the flat. You're wide open. Or you can head to the flat to get the block on the corner, because we're giving it to the running back or the wide receiver coming back around on the orbit motion, basically.
So what I love about what I really love about, like, when I think about schemes and stuff, it's like, how can I take one formation and do all this cool stuff with it? So We just talked about the cross action, right? So we see 81's over on the right side off the right hip of the tackle. Now, on the last two plays, 81's going backside. He's going to cut out the defensive end with his hand in the ground. That's what people are expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a tight end on the play side. There's no reason he can't just do a scoop block with the right tackle. The thing is, they're not necessarily expecting that anymore. So now they just scoop out. Now they get a great double team at a point of attack, and the tackle can rise up for this safety that's coming onto your screen from the right side here.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get this really great opportunity to get double teams that aren't involved in, like, that have to go backwards, that have to go to the backside B gap. We can really press. And now the defensive line and the linebackers, they're not really sure how to insert into every single block, right? And now they're worried about taking on those blocks and now finding you, as opposed to, I already know I got to fold this backside because they're coming out the back end.
Yep, and then you have your best players doing the best thing they could do. You got offensive line. You see those five single blocks all downfield, and your guys winning running the ball in terms of the Colts offense. So
you see this double the right guard center. You got the handoff by Quentin in the press, but as soon as you get that guy's shoulders turned, I'm talking about the guy 56 has his left arm out extending on that defensive tackle, so 79 can come and just run that guy now and get good penetration, or get a good stretch. The right guard and center do a great job. You just see they're almost shoulder to hip here and so they're going to rise on that linebacker. And this is how you just create good 10-yard, 12-yard runs. I mean, it's not rocket science. This is a good defensive team, but they have limitations like everybody else.
No, you got the offensive line just rolling off the ball and doing the favorite thing that linemen like to do is run block. So you get them in that position.
I'm just showing this again because I just think it's interesting. Like, there's so many things. Like, when you break down film, when you think about football, you think about schemes, all these elaborate schemes. And we're showing you the box. We're not looking at the receivers, and they have a little bit of an effect on what's going on. But AG, we're showing the same basic formation here over and over and over again. And look at all the success and wrinkles you can have by just changing things up a little bit. So now we got the hipped off guy. Now we come backside here. They're thinking what? Oh, he's going backside. Well, shoot, if he's going backside, then they must be running that same belly play. They got a receiver just off line here is going to block down on Z. We're doing the crack down on Za'Darius, and now we just run the toss out the backside or out the front side. You know, all the same formations, all the same stuff. It just depends on how aggressive your defense is. Sometimes when you're aggressive, what did the defensive line do, man? Hey, we want you to get 2 yards upfield, and then you read the play. You know,
get that penetration.
Hey, we're going to make tackles on the way to the quarterback. We're penetrating. That's all we're doing. When you got teams like that, you have to take advantage of their aggressiveness by putting them out of position.
100%. Good play call by Aldana and these coaches today.
When you think about, you know, you're giving up the most yards passing in the National Football League, it's not a talent problem. Right. It's not necessarily a scheme problem. It's a communication problem.
100%.
And so you have 4 guys over here. You have your trips look or your bunch look out on the top of the 50 here, but then you also have your running back on that side. What does that do to a team? That means they need to overload. They only have one viable receiver on the left side of the screen, yet they still have 3. They have a linebacker, a corner, and a safety over there for no reason. So why does that present a problem? They don't move that linebacker that's almost in the middle of the hash. They don't move it over to the inside slot. He's not outside the numbers. So now he goes flat, but he can't drop because he's now stuck on the running back who's running the wheel route on the outside. And so now you have all you can eat. You got 2 guys looking at the same player on the top of the bottom of the numbers on the 45-yard line. You got an outside release. You have the quarterback on the 40 with his chest turned to the sideline. You have the nickel on the 45 with his back to the sideline, but he's backing up into like a cover 2 look. And all of a sudden the slot's running wide ass open. And you got the inside guy occupying the safety. And this is all you can eat. This is just communication. But you look at that throw. If this is a perfect throw, it's a touchdown.
It is. You just got to catch him, lead him a little bit, and outrun. Now, that's a tight end. But if it was any other position, wide receiver, running back, they could outrun the safety there and cover 2 and deep half.
And that's just all that is communication. I thought you'd like this one, man. So this is like, it's not quite hound 2 buck, which is Boogie's play, but we get in an offset I formations. What is this? Near for you?
That was, I believe, near right.
So this is a near right look for old school guys. So our fullback is just gonna fake the lead and then dribble out here to the bottom of the screen around the 30-yard line, outrun the linebackers who are really good players, right? But this is under center play action at its finest, man. This is the stuff we love and the opportunities that we can use. We can use DeGuara here right now. And just feed that fullback, man. Every once in a while, you got to feed that fullback, AG, make them happy, right? They don't need a lot of carries. They don't even need 1 a game. But they need something. Exactly,
they do. I remember Will getting that play, and he was so wide open, he fell down when he caught the ball in the end zone. And I was like, you're welcome, because they're all worried about me getting the ball, or Brett throwing it to Javon or Donald or somebody wide open. They just forgot about you, run up the field and sit. He was sitting in the middle of the end zone, caught the ball, thank God, and fell down. I was like, okay.
Hound 2, when they called that play, all of us were like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens.
Right.
Because it has. So for those who don't know, the fullback's just running and faking like he's gonna block the linebacker, and then he just bypasses him and just catches the ball. There's nobody in the middle of the field.
Zero people.
But Boogie, like a fullback, when you get like 5 carries a year, you know, whenever you get a chance, and Boogie caught the ball fair.
And that's doing good. That's doing good.
Yeah. But, you know, you get a chance for glory, like a 20-yard play. Dude, the smile on his face was just it was priceless. So Patrick Peterson, man, has been one of the best. He's a Hall of Fame player. Bites on routes, right? He's been on routes against the first time we played. We see the top of the screen here.
Yeah.
And they're doing a bunch of just corner rotation and coverage rotation here. They'll run buzz over here. They'll look at like a cover 2. They'll run 3 buzz over here and just buzz the safety down. They do a bunch of stuff away from 7. 7, they like to keep to himself. Hey, You just play man, do your thing, play man to man, and they'll live with it. But
Yeah.
he does. This happens every game or two where he just gets beat bad on a double move, and the
Yeah.
opportunities are they're going to be there.
And he didn't really squat down on that one too bad. He actually stayed in a decent position. Just his age right now, his acceleration is not there, so that receiver was able to outrun him on that catch. But sometimes he does bite hard.
One of the things the Minnesota Vikings, like the counter to, we give up a lot of yards in the pass game. So we have really high sack totals. We rush the passer really well. That creates turnovers, pressures equals picks, and they're all right. So if you're going to bring 5 guys here and you're going to man up on the backside, like that's okay. Understand what the problems are, but if you can block them and you're gonna the guy in the rectangle is going to get the middle of the field, it's like that's not even close to being covered. So the opportunities are there. It's like you just have to be able to block your guy, and it really just comes down to that. When you get in this situation right here as the Packers offensive line, you've got dudes that can rush the passer, dudes that are heavy, can just lean on you at the guard position and the center position, and you got elite guys at the tackle position. If you can hold up, and that's a big if, but if you can hold up, there will be people open for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. Daniel Jones is making it look easy right here.
Yeah, and that's Daniel Jones. So we know that if Aaron got that time, not saying nothing bad against him other than his youth. He's still young, still has to develop, and reading coverages on the run. But getting a play like that where he's able to play action and hit the guy with the ball open, that's what you want out of that. And we know we could do that. We could get that done with Aaron.
We got a 2x2 hip top. We got the safety there showing, and the reason we're showing is just a lot of these guys are put into kind of bad situations, right? And this is why you scheme. But in situations like this, let me just go back. He's not supposed to drive on the running back, right? He's sitting here for the crosser. And sometimes, it's as good as players as some of these guys are, they just make mistakes, and this happens a lot. And so, from a quarterback position, it's not like we're looking at scenarios where these guys aren't open and they're missing throws, or guys are open. You just have to know where to read. You got to make the right throw. It's literally, do you have enough time to make your throws? If you have time, guys have shown consistently this year that they can get open against the man and the match coverage that these guys offer.
Yeah, and defensively, that's where you see the eye, eye motion. What are they tracking with that play? Because when they do the play action, that's when they get sucked in and the open holes come up in the defensive backfield, come open.
Yes, sir. We got a trip look over here, tight ends attached. Nope, I'm wrong. We got a double 2x2. You got a switch release.
Crossing route, mesh routes.
These are fun routes. Everybody runs these. So they switch release this, and then they both end up coming with a double crosser, right? And it's just, and I could have shown one that they hit the high side guy, but here's time they hit the low. Linebackers got to be a little bit more aware. And AG, at every level you can find ways to get the ball to your receivers, to your tight ends. I think Tunyon has not had a big receiving year. He could catch multiple passes this game. Love to see it. Love to see it stretch that field a little bit more with the tight end position, but it's going to come down to can the offensive line of Green Bay Packers block these guys?
100%, because you block those guys, you give the run game a chance, get them started, because Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, as we've seen in the past games so far, from the start of the year to now, even when things were going bad to the good that they're having, AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, always a key star up on the stage there. And then from last week's game, get Aaron to multiple receivers, because I think at one point in the game he had 10 different receivers that he threw the ball to. And then that right there makes the defense work more harder, because they can't focus on one guy. They can't focus on just a Christian Watson or a Romeo Doubs or even a Tunyon. They got to pretty much play defense and be honest all around.
No doubt, man. You want to hit your keys of the game?
Yeah, well, that was one of them right there. That was one of my keys right there. So that was offense. So defensively, again, it's not. I don't change much, because when things are working the way they should work, you don't have to. So again, Kenny and that D line, get in there, create position, because we talked about it. It's going to be like hitting a slot machine when you get to Kirk Cousins. He's going to give you something good that you're going to enjoy. That's going to either be a sack fumble or just a sack or maybe an interception, because he's trying to just throw the ball away or get the ball out of his hand instead of getting clobbered in the pocket. And then after that, then make him, try to beat you, so slow down as best as possible. Delvin Cook and that offensive line in terms of running the ball. Remember they got a fullback, CJ Ham, who they use as a blocker, but occasionally they gave him a little nugget last week for a touchdown. So maybe don't forget about him in certain play action settings, but make it a problem for Delvin Cook, because then you want to put all the onus on Kirk Cousins to try to win that game.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially with the Kirk Cousins deal. I think Kirk Cousins is the key to the game on defense. But I think the way that we go about it, pushing the pocket as opposed to trying to reach out and smack the ball, and I think this is one of those games where you need to push especially in the interior offensive line.
Yeah.
You need to push them into Kirk Cousins, because we saw it. He just stands there like a statue half the time.
He does not know what's coming.
It's like the awareness level, because he's so locked into what's happening downfield. You can create a lot of problems for him, because if he ever stops doing that, then his eyes aren't where they should be, and then he's got real issues, right? So that's where we want to get to, where he actually starts looking at the rush. Offensively, we just showed it. Can we hold up? Because I think we have, from a scheme standpoint and just man on man, I think there's a lot of favorable matchups in this game. But the question mark is going to be, especially those elite two edge rushers.
Yep.
Who's playing? And how are they going to play? And then bottom line for me, man, is like Aaron Rodgers. This is one of those games where we need Aaron Rodgers' A game.
Yeah.
When the best is needed, the best step up. Not surprised that he's going to. But yeah, ready to go.
Yeah, that's the mindset, and it's rivalry. It's like I don't know about yourself, but I know when we had any divisional games, it was, in terms of motivation, it wasn't much the coach had to say. I mean, and then how I prepared for games, taking my notes, going through the first 15, putting my detailed notes down in terms of if I'm going to chip, because we talked about it. You and I, or me and Chad, or me and Taos talked during the week. Hey, man, we're going to chip on this side. If they run this front, defensive front, we're going to do this. So I got all that in my notes. So then after that, you know what? It's a rivalry game. This is like, guys in the neighborhood. No, we gonna beat y'all up, and we're gonna send y'all home with a black eye. So that's the mindset I say on both sides of the ball and both sides of the team coming into Lambeau Field on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon.
AG, we good? We cut this short. I got something. I got somewhere I got to be.
Okay, no problem. All right, man.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Check us out. I'm on Green 30 on Twitter, TikTok, everything, everybody, everywhere. Mike Wall 68 on Twitter. Appreciate it, AG. We'll see how this game goes. Talk to you soon, bud.
Talk to you later.